What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the House of Holocrons podcast. In this episode 75, we will be going over episode 3 and 4 of the Acolyte. Talk about one or two of the small, newer things that have been released to the collectibles community, and then continue on with just really, this is mostly going to be about Acolyte. Talking about the show, talking about the gripes people have had with it, just the fandom menace doing what they do best. But before we get into them attempting to ruin a perfectly good Star Wars show, the new things. Quick for the vintage collection, TVC has finally had the full announcement, full reveal for the HasLab Cantina. I believe at this moment, if it is not fully backed, I think it's actually pretty close. HasLab Cantina comes with the Tonica sisters and Worf the bartender. The Tonica sisters being their first ever release in a carded like this since the vintage collection started. So a lot of people are really excited to finally get the Tonica sisters. It's Tonica time, as many have said. Worf, of course, is going to be a really big one. And let's see. Okay, they are at 65.9%. They have 5,000 out of the 8,000 backers for the Cantina. I highly doubt it won't make it. These kind of things usually back a lot quicker in the last few days than they do in the beginning. And because everyone in the beginning, all those numbers you see in the beginning are the big buyers buying up the things they know they're going to either sell or keep two of themselves. I can't imagine. Oh my gosh, having two of those boxes just because you can have carded and uncarded figures, but then you just have an extra Cantina just laying around not being used, hurts my
You
heart.
could use it. It's one to display, one to play with.
Yeah.
It's such, and that's kind of the TVC line. It just reminds you of the stuff that came out when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things that you have that one rich friend that you come over and they buy for their kid.
Yeah, exactly. He has all the toys and all the cool play sets, and yeah, it just feels cooler. So yeah, we have that. They have announced also Greedo is the first tier backed. Then there is the four-armed spaceman alien. I can't remember his name right now from A New Hope. And Wolfman is another one. I can't remember his actual name, but the Wolfman alien is going to be another one that is the last tier backer. If all three are backed, they have, of course, like with the Ghost talked about, if we back all of that, then they will release more Cantina aliens. And that's what the vintage collection for me has always been about. Black Series gets more of the main characters up front and really fast, whereas the vintage collection gets all of the playsets, vehicles, and a lot of background characters. So, good and bad, trade some, we lose some. Black Series announcements, we're finally getting a OSHA. So is the vintage collection. Of course, the Black Series version to me is just way better. You can actually see details on Pip instead of him just being an orange and bright blue block. So Pip's going to be a really fun little droid to have finally added with OSHA. And we should be next month getting the first set of Acolyte Black Series figures. And that's going to be a pocketbook hitter because they're all dropping at like the exact same time.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for that one. Get some High Republic Jedi. That's going to be good. Nothing. Temptations of the Force did come out. An absolutely amazing High Republic book by Tessa Groton. I'll have my full review out here probably by next week, no doubt. But it's such a great book. Really, really good book. It has taken Fallen Star's place as my number one High Republic book. So then I believe next we did get a new Hot Toys announcement.
Yeah, we had a Clone Wars, episode 2 Clone Wars Anakin.
Yeah.
So the movie Anakin, not Clone Wars cartoon Anakin.
Yep.
It's where it's the dark brown robes and the light dark brown and the dark brown robes.
His thing about his Geonosian arena outfit, kind of like what he's wearing there. Got the Padawan braid, the nice spiky hair and stuff. And like we had spoken a little bit before the show, man, episode 2 gets a bad rap for no reason. It was really fun. I enjoyed that one a lot.
Yeah, I don't think it will anymore. I think with the hate of the sequels and some of the shows, I think people will appreciate episode 1 and 2 a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. It seems that's how it works. And then in the next 10 years, when something else weird comes out,
it's funny is because like the reviews for like Obi-Wan and Boba Fett, which are the ones that really suffered on reviews online for like Rotten Tomatoes and everything from user reviews have actually gone up since the release of the Acolyte, which is kind of funny how that worked out.
Yeah, like we always talk about, the Phantom Menace works in the most mysterious of ways. I think the funniest thing I've seen out of all of this is, have you noticed that people are review bombing the wrong Acolyte?
I have not.
There's an old movie that came out in like 2002 or something, just called Acolyte, and it has so many Star Wars reviews on it about how bad it is and how woke it is. It's so funny. It's got like now like a 12% Rotten Tomatoes audience review, just because everyone thinks it's the Acolyte TV show.
Yeah, it's funny. It's the fact that it can't even bother watching the show gets to the point they can't even bother reading the actual page what they're reviewing.
And that's the ultimate. It's like the ultimate show of who these people are right there. They're not actually going to pay any attention to what they're watching or what they're reading or anything like that. They're just a part of the crowd. And hey, again, we're on episode 4, going at episode 5 now. And let me just simply tell you, if you don't like it now, by the end of episode 4, if you don't like the Acolyte, just stop watching it then. It's not going to magically change.
I feel like it's finally going to pick up, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because we kind of gotten past the point of, like, you know, the antagonist has kind of been iffy, and the only real antagonist we had is May. But she wasn't, like, I don't know. May's weird. She's a weird written character.
Yeah, she has a lot of issues within herself, which then leads to issues on screen in a good way. Like, she's flip-floppy to a degree. She's very flip-floppy.
There's only one time that kind of doesn't make sense, but you know, we could talk about it because it's episode 3.
Yep.
So because we skipped last week, if you didn't notice. So we'll be covering episode 3 and 4 today, which the infamous episode 3 that everybody seemed to hate.
Anakin fanboys everywhere did not care.
It wasn't my favorite episode, but it wasn't like... Yeah, we could talk about that. We can go straight to that if you want, if people are sticking around for that point.
Well, to me, before we get too deep into the Anakin stuff, it's just like, that's stupid. But the main thing is, episode 3 episode 3 is the last episode we've gotten that is heavily setting up exposition and mystery. Episode 4 is like shutting things down, getting things started, really like what you talked about. It's ramping up. It's taking off into this new journey that's really going to be action-packed for the rest of this. But for right now, episode 3 was a very big moment on backstory and setting up pivotal, like, character development, or, like, I should say character motive.
Yeah, episode 1 kind of tried to set the mood for what to expect. Episode 2 was kind of setting up who the characters are, and then episode 3 was the backstory of everything. And so that's what episode 3 was. We got to see, it was all flashback. It was all the history of May and
about
Osha.
12 or 13 years before what we see. They're very young children. We get to meet their coven they live with. So the witches that a lot of people thought were going to be more antagonists kind of are in a sense, but they are literally just a coven of force or thread abiding witches.
I originally thought they were going to be more good, and I think because I rewatched it, and because there's a lot of things that didn't sit right with me, and after rewatching it and seeing some subtleties, and then we've kind of talked about it a little, I don't think they're as good as I thought. They kind of show off as good, like on the surface, kind of like you kind of get this like cheesy like good cult to them.
Yeah, the power of one, the power of many. We are here to support each other. No, they're evil,
read
bro.
Between the lines, and the fact that they've had to leave.
Yes,
they're like they talk about they constantly have to move places. Means they probably aren't up to the best intentions. I'm not saying they're completely evil, but I don't think they're pure light side.
Yeah. So, more or less, though, the episode 3 then happens to where we get to see the Jedi act like the institute that they're becoming versus the sages that they should have been. They literally break into the coven. They slice through their doors, which is a Star Wars term for hacking, pretty much. They break open the locks. They come in, and they're like, during this big crazy ritual. So all before that, we've gotten this kind of fight between May and Osha. They're twins, but they're not identical to the point where they want to do everything together.
Well,
May wants that, but Osha wants her own life.
I will say they have more grounds to do that.
Yeah.
In the Clone Wars, we actually seen the Jedi just take like babies. When the Jedi actually did take like small, almost near like toddlers,
which is what they
and
prefer.
most time they aggressively they like it's like passive aggressively take the children to the point where they just almost yank them from their mothers. Whereas this, they kind of try to do the same thing. They're a little more patient than you expect, but they also kind of have grounds with the group.
Yeah.
Because they can tell there's kind of a force connection going on.
Well, that's what Indara, that's what Indara's talking about. She's like, we have the right to see every single child that's force sensitive and make sure they're being taught correctly or take them to be a Jedi. And the mother's like, well, we're not a part of your republic. And that's what kind of starts everything.
You gotta remember, they also have had, because it's still the High Republic, so they've had past with Force cults before that have gone bad. And so that the fact that they automatically aren't aggressive, I wouldn't be surprised. I know a lot of people that aren't familiar with the High Republic novels. I don't expect, especially the green, forget her name, the one that's been around for a while. She should be kind of worried when she hears about a cult, you know?
Well, so Vernestra is from Phase 1 and 3. Phase 2, which is mostly the Path of the Open Hand cult, which a lot of people thought this was going to be a branch of that. That's like 100-something years. So Vernestra wasn't around for the Path of the Open Hand.
She still should be familiar. It should still be like in teachings and.
You would think so, but they also don't talk about the Nameless, do they?
But I mean, and then people are, and then those that aren't familiar with Jedi and then with the High Republic, well, and Jedi in general, when they establish that there's already a bunch of Force groups, cults, religious groups. I mean, like we talked about, Rogue One had.
Yeah, Jeddah is full of Force religions.
One of the main characters, Donnie Yen's character, he's a member of one of the Force.
Sharut Imwe. He run the Kyber Temple, which are the Guardians of the Wills.
So this isn't the first time we've seen it on live action footage. So this isn't new.
But we're getting good pushback. Yeah. That's what I like. We're getting like this, because again, when that Force cult, when Mother NSA is like, we're not a part of your republic. To most people, when they hear that, they should go, oh, well, the Jedi should step back and look at what they're doing wrong. But that's the whole point here, is that the Jedi are going by ego more now. They're going more by what they think they should be allowed to do.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the High Republic thing, because they have a lot more established control.
There's a lot more temples. There's a lot more Jedi everywhere.
It's more political and less militaristic than what we get in the later Republic with episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, we one thing that's interesting that also is of the group that we got to remember, those that are familiar with these splinter Force worshipping, whatever, these cults, groups, whatever you want to call them, most of them don't have connection to the Force. So that part's pretty interesting. That they're unique, that they have a pretty strong connection to the Force.
To the point where they're able to really manipulate, and what they call it, the thread. When you see them doing these rituals, they really are grabbing at like this thread of power that they're trying to like almost weave together to them and stuff. Really beautiful cinematography, if nothing else, in the episode. There's like a planetary alignment and stuff that happens. Really good cinematography.
I think it's just because it helps them like picture in their mind how they connect to the Force.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a different view of the Force.
Now,
because we even get that with the High Republic, where Avon has like, it's more musical to her.
Yeah.
And
Avar has the music. And Stellan saw the Great Galaxy. And Elzar an ocean.
Sees water, a storm.
He sees an ocean.
So that helps them like adjust to like get stronger control. So they teach that it's a thread to kind of use,
pull the right thread, and things will happen.
And so so they almost kind of look at it, if you think about it, they kind of view it in a way almost closer to the Sith, because they think they can manipulate it more than what the Jedi believe.
And that really goes into what becomes a big problem later for fans who can't read between lines. But we pretty much learn that the mothers created May and Asha through a Force ritual, pretty much. One says, yeah, I made them. The other one goes, I carried them. And that is kind of what blew a lot of people up. Before we even get into all that, though, I'm going to call it now. I think the reason they've also had to leave planets is because I bet they killed like 100+ people, sacrificing all of their life force, putting that into Mother Coral, the Zabrak, and creating this life, this immaculate, or this conception, pretty much. They killed a lot of people to try and create one. Now, the other big theory is, was the Sith involved in that? Did this guy actually was he using the Coven to make them create the ultimate apprentice? We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. I think it's unlikely, but yeah, we don't know.
I think it'd be a fun one though, because it's almost like with the legends again, we're gonna say it's a Legends book, Plagueis. When he talks about him and Palpatine messing with the Force then messed with them back by creating Anakin. So I could almost see if a Darksider is trying to again make his own perfect apprentice, and the Force was like, ha, I gotcha. Instead of one perfect apprentice, you get a split personality between two twins.
And so we get a couple weird things. Yeah, I've seen that storyline play before, where they try to combine the twins into one person back. But yeah, it's I was gonna say it's interesting that I don't think it's Sith. Even though that Leslie says there's nothing to do with the Dathomir witches, I still think if they don't have their roots come from the same thing as the Dathomir witches, I think they're kind of shorting themselves on that one, because I think there's so much similarities, and being able to manipulate life, which we can start kind of dipping into the life thing. Dathomir witches have been proven to either manipulate or control life.
Yeah, 100%.
For instance, as the zombie troopers, they were manipulating life through that. It's not the same process, but it's a quick.
Yeah, but then with Asajj, she came fully back, like not reanimated corpse, 100% back.
And we've seen them manipulate life in other ways.
Yeah.
With with
the Zabrak males, they literally take a week. Darth Maul, in Savage Opress, when you see them before the magic ritual is done, they're scrawny little nobodies.
Well, they're completely different people too.
Yeah,
they're not the same people anymore. But yeah, and like I said, they bring back undead bodies to either just like zombies or to just a new person. And then and then like I said, I rewatched it and I went through some things. One thing I was saying, one of the things people talk about how it weakens the idea of Darth Plagueis. And to go into, if we talk about canon, I'd say no, because the Darth Plagueis novel is Legends. It's not canon. And the only reference we have to Darth Plagueis, and the only real reference that's canon, is the legend of that, Palpatine says about Plagueis was able to manipulate and create life. Well, he was trying to tell Anakin what he wanted to hear.
Right, exactly.
And it's not the first time Palpatine. It's like he
has fully lied. Yeah, he has lied through his teeth.
So the only reference we have of him making life could be an obvious lie, and there's like I said, he was literally telling Anakin what he wanted to hear, so we could get him to join. It's like, hey, I can give life to make sure that your wife that you're not supposed to have is not going to die like your mother did.
Yep.
So we can manipulate the Force to protect people that you are attached to.
But it's not something the Jedi would teach you. Like, he's just forcing Anakin to think outside of the Jedi. He's trying to get him comfortable with the idea of the Jedi are not who you need to be with.
And so there could be something. He could have had an idea. I doubt he was able to make people. And we know that the idea that Anakin was made by Palpatine was not a thing. That was a manipulative tact in that comic, and even the writer says that it was supposed to be intended that way.
Yes.
Not to be taken literally. So that part's out of the line. Now the part with Anakin and the twins, One thing I want to point out.
That one has always been. Yeah, point your thing out. Point your thing out.
So there's two sides of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
We can look at it as, again, we could be taken as, well, it could be taken three ways, or two ways, or literally. So if we take out the literally, and it could be looked at one way, that could be taken as, I've heard a lot of women say that the child doesn't have a father when they're a single mother.
Yeah.
It could be used as these women, maybe they take a man to give them what's needed, extract the sperm, or just literally just have the quick sex, seduce them, and then leave them. So they don't have a father. They don't have a father. And she's gonna say, yeah, they didn't have a dad.
Yeah.
Because they didn't. She's not gonna say literally like his father was on some planet. We used his sperm to make children. That's what we do. We trick men.
Right. Yeah.
That could be that way. Or she could be lying to her cult, and that's what she probably does, and that's a way for her to maintain power structure within the cult. Like, only I can make children, and so she could be using that as a manipulative tactic to maintain her power structure, or, which would be pretty cool in a way, she literally did make the life, which is still possible. And
because again, she, as they talked about, those two together did this. They could have killed hundreds. They could have used a dark side nexus. They could have used crazy force artifacts that broke.
Like I said, they could have just had a ritual that involved, like I said, implanting.
Yeah, literally, artificial insemination. That could have all been a thing. But it does not cheapen from Anakin whatsoever, because the force itself created Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah. So that's the difference. Is one of the main differences. The force created Anakin. It was spontaneous. The force willed Anakin because he was supposed to be the new, I guess, represent the father. Kind of some people say he's the brother. He's not the brother. He's the father.
He's supposed to bring balance to everything.
The reincarnation of the father. That's why Ahsoka is his apprentice, is a representation of the daughter. Anyways, so we go back. So the Force they manipulate. If they did make her out of the Force, or them out of the Force, they manipulated the Force out of a ritual and controlled the Force and forced it to make life.
Yeah.
Which is not something that where that doesn't take away. Anakin still can be the chosen one, because he was made by the Force, where they were forced to be made by the Force. So they were not chosen.
Yeah,
you can't be chosen if you're made.
Right. With May and Osha, the Force did not make them. The Force was a tool in making them. With Anakin, the Force itself was like, that guy, I need him to exist there, so he'll meet up with Qui-Gon.
It would, and then if they were able to do such a thing, I think that's why the Sith character chose May as his apprentice.
Yeah. And that's also 100% why the Jedi, because if these ladies are doing such dark Sith-like rituals, or using Sith magic or dark side magic, the whole thing that the Sith had done for this thousands of years was hide. That means there hasn't been a great wound, as Yoda would put, in the dark side. The Force hasn't felt the dark side in eons. So if these ladies accidentally tap too much into the dark side, the Jedi would literally feel that and be like, we need to send Jedi to this planet and figure out what the hell just happened.
I think what we're going to find out, I think that at this point, because they're training them to get more connected to the Force.
Yeah.
I think that pool is what also attracted the Jedi. And I think it also attracted the Sith.
Yeah.
And
like it was just a big fucking bug light.
May died. I think the Sith guy was. I think we're gonna find out he was there at the same time.
Oh yeah.
And I think he took May when they took the other one.
But it's like this perfect duality of Star Wars 2, where we literally have both children think they've lost their whole family and each other. One becomes a Jedi, one becomes a dark side acolyte. Like that is perfect.
It's almost like. And I don't think those sisters were intending it, but it almost feels like they were trying to force the idea of the chosen one, of the legend of the reincarnation of the father, daughter, brother, in a way of making, because they're essentially making the daughter and brother, where May would be the brother and Osha would be the sister.
Now, my biggest problem I had with Episode 3, which makes me feel like either the Jedi were implanting ideas, or why does May want to be a Jedi, or Osha should have like no idea.
Well, rewatching that, I don't think they implanted it all. I
Mm-hmm.
think, like I said, I like I mentioned before, I think she just wants to leave. She wants to explore the
She
galaxy.
wants the
Like I said,
opposite of whatever May wants.
I think it's her first take. I don't think it's just that. I think she just
Mm-hmm.
wants a different life. Just like how
Yeah.
Luke wanted to explore the galaxy as well. He was tired of being on Tatooine. He wanted to go out and fly.
Mm-hmm.
Osha has that same drive, and I think she was intended to
And
give
that
that
makes a
kind of
great
idea.
Jedi. Yeah, because that's like she's literally the way
And
she's talking is like that's a Jedi. She wants to
and
just explore.
I think it's just the first thing she's like, you want to be a Jedi like us?
And she
And
latched
she's
on.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. She's like, well, do I get to leave? Essentially, and he's like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, yeah, okay.
You could have
It's
told
like
me
literally,
whatever you wanted as long as I get the hell off this rock.
I think it's just this is her first ticket out of there. I think
Yeah.
she wanted something different. She wasn't happy. It was just she hated the life. Just
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't what made her happy. Some people
Right.
just have that adventuring spirit, and that's kind of core to Star Wars. And I think that was the intention
Mm-hmm.
of Leslie, whoever wrote the sense of that character. I don't think Leslie did most of it. I think she was the director.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever wrote that, I think that was the intention after rewatching it. I don't, like I said, she still asks a lot of the Jedi questions about, like, is that a lightsaber? Which is so funny that he hands her the lightsaber right away. I'm so disappointed that she didn't look into it. Luke. She didn't do the Luke where look at it immediately. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any manipulation that in Soul. I think Soul is probably the most innocent person, and he seems like he has no idea what truly happened.
Indara was just trying to do the Republic Jedi duty. Torben's just following Indara, his master, and Kelnaka is just like, I'm just here as the Wookiee. Like, I'm the cool alien Jedi that they sent on this team.
Yeah, something happened, which we're gonna find out later, that kind of set everything off.
Yeah,
from what I think, out of that engagement is the fire, which I hope we find out more with that, which could be maybe the Sith Lord spread the fire as kind of a way to sneak in.
Yes, because my big thing with all that is the fire definitely spread too fast, too furious, too quick. But it would not be impossible for the dark side to do that. May could have done it.
I don't think May's the one who did it after watching it.
I could see that, but if she wasn't in control of her emotions and she's just exuding the Force, things happen. That's why children with the Force are so dangerous, and why people like the Jedi think they have to take kids that are powerful, because if not, they'll destroy something, and they usually do.
I'll say the writing is more to be desired. Not out of the realm of Star Wars writing, because I see some goofy stuff, especially the chat between May and Osha. There's a lot of really goofy stuff.
And I'll agree with some of the lines just being a little like
she's like, I love you, I want to be around you. All of a sudden, I'm gonna kill you, which came out of nowhere. But it wasn't just that, but there was more stuff.
I'm gonna say, bro, I've heard that exact conversation though in real life. If I can't have you, nobody else can. I've seen those kind of people.
But there's other writing. But like, again, I look back and it's like, I remember seeing Obi-Wan try to smuggle a child in his overcoat through an Imperial base.
Yeah.
So there's also that. So it's not new. I won't rate it as, I wouldn't personally rate that episode as high as the others.
See, I will 100% agree with all of those kind of points. To me, the people who are like, but why this? Why? You'll eventually find out. Calm down. That's the other thing. Leslie has said there will be no unanswered questions by the end of this.
There's just a lot of contradiction in characters. Like, they'll say one thing and immediately say something that kind of contradicts.
Because and that's the thing is the point of view is extremely valuable in this show. She wants you to realize that there are like 15 points of view for each of these stories, and none of them is correct.
I think some of it also is just, well, I'm saying a lot of the dialogue.
No, that's what I was saying. Those points,
poor.
Yeah, those points are fine. But it's the people who want to blame they don't understand everything that's going on. That's silly because it's literally a mystery. Like
and like I'm gotten to this point where I'm dissecting it. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to give it a 2 or anything like that. And then, and I don't know if there's anything else we want to talk about the episode, because we're pretty much over. There's not much that happens after they get in a fight, they separate, and the fire starts out.
I mean, all I'll say is
for the rescue,
the little bit that we've seen in trailers.
Dead,
so with the witches, I still think that the Sith, I understand a lot of people think it's Quimir, which we'll talk about more for next episode. This episode cemented me to think it's Darth Coral. Mother Coral, the Zabrak, was nowhere to be found. Mother Anastasia was dead in the beginning. She was dead in the front. Osha sees her body. We see when Osha's going under one spot and it like blows up and you hear the witches scream. They're all like in a area very close by one another, not burned, not scarred, not cut up. I think they all drank the poison or were given the poison by Coral, and then Coral killed the other mother because she was not happy with what was happening with Osha and May.
Well,
that's why I think that Coral is the Sith.
Well, one thing that's interesting thinking about that is we get the idea where they talk about the twins where they're essentially like a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Like they point out there's no other children.
Yeah.
The only children. This is something that seems like it doesn't happen. So if she does have some connection to the Sith, I don't know if she was the Sith. Mm-hmm. Maybe she's being manipulated by the Sith into being a member of the Sith. Maybe the point where he helped kind of as a hidden person to help with the ritual.
Yeah. I mean, where'd they get all that explosive stuff? It's for some reason they have this giant vat of explosive things in the center of their compound. Who knows?
Well, the help. Well, I'm talking about the help in the creation of Ocean May. That he could have been like, maybe they already had the ritual, but it doesn't work. Maybe he gave them the necessary power that needed to work.
The last key or whatever.
It would make a lot of sense that she was involved with it. She could be the inside man to help, do the destruction. Like, hey, the Jedi are about to take the children away. We need you to come. Yeah. And so he's like, make a distraction or something, and then she blows everything up at the same time. The fire starts. It could be something completely different because I predicted stuff and it'd be completely like out of not even 180, just like out of nowhere. So they have something in mind. And in episode 4, we get a little bit more, but not really.
Yeah. Well, before we get this, the other big thing with episode 3 is we see Torben get controlled. His eyes go black, and he's literally under control from the witches.
Definitely not a light side thing.
Yeah, not a light side thing, but that's what's going to play into the horrible thing that happens later, I believe. Because we've seen in trailers Kelnaka attacking Torben. And if you look at it, his eyes don't look like they have any color to them. So I'm thinking the witches turned the Jedi like on each other or something. Something bad happened. That's why Kelnaka took like a vow of, solidarity, and Torben took the bearish vow.
Well, what we see in episode 4, he's still obsessed with it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's been drawing the symbols.
Yep.
Just, I don't know if he's been seeing visions or what. Something.
Yeah.
Or we won't know because he doesn't survive.
Yep, that was a crazy one for episode 4. I did not
go immediately,
but I didn't see that coming. I mean, guys, spoilers for the episodes, of course, duh. But I really thought Kelnaka was going to be a huge part of the rest of this because we have a comic even coming out about him. That's a prequel now. Of course, we know it has to be a prequel. So we won't get too far into it. Besides, just that was a cool thing to have him already be dead.
God, May, you're stupid sometimes. She did the same dumb thing too.
Yeah,
running away. Just give yourself up. You literally have the body there. I get it. You're at the crime scene, but he has lightsaber burns. You don't own a lightsaber. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's obvious.
So yes, this next one does come up. We get more scenes between like Osha and Jecki. The beginning of episode 4 was slow. Not in a horrible way. It was just more like friendship, setting up relationships, setting up bonds, honestly, which are all about to be severed because a lot of people are about to die.
I felt like the majority, I'd say 3/4 of the episode was unnecessarily slow. Like they didn't need to be. There's a lot of content that, like, I get the idea of the show is supposed to be amped up with Jedi, and they try to do some of that with the fighting. But they should have probably, if like they want to track that crowd and that audience in that style, they need to start amping things up. And so if they want to keep an audience at all, they really need to start amping things up with this. Now that we revealed the Sith.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, but you're gonna lose a lot of viewers. I mean, even I was starting like, okay, this is kind of.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing. It's like you're like, okay, where's this gonna go? And then it fucking just goes whoop. Last fourth, like you said, the last 1/4 of that show then went off the walls.
But before that, it's like, okay, we get it. And I liked seeing world building, but it was like, it wasn't really world building.
Yeah. Because one of the things,
like it was dragging on for just because the sake of they needed time.
Yeah,
honestly.
I kind of like how Vernestra was straight up like, we are not taking this to the High Jedi Council. They'll tell the Republic, and the Republic will tell everybody else on their stupid news channels, which she's not wrong. So Vernestra straight up just tells all these other Jedi, of which Ki-Adi-Mundi is one of them.
But she also has the knowledge of the High Republic. The Jedi doesn't have the best track record with success when it comes to defending the galaxy.
So she's like, we're just gonna handle this ourselves, and we're gonna go deal with this now. We're gonna take a strike team. We're gonna go to Kelnaka. We're gonna handle all of this. We're gonna save him. Oops, that didn't happen. But it was kind of cool to see a Ki-Adi-Mundi. We got a young Ki-Adi-Mundi in the scene.
Yeah, he's definitely got a different haircut, that's for sure.
And it's definitely still Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Yeah. He should not look the same. That was the joke. He should definitely. it just reminded me of like those old like 80s shows when they do a flashback and they just put like a beard and
darker hair.
The same person, yeah, it's the same person.
Hey man,
recolor the hair.
With that head, we don't even know how their hair grows. What else is he supposed to do?
I know, it just was funny. I thought it was
loved it. I was like, he looks almost a little chubby.
He got a
baby face.
Should have given him a beer belly. That was his party phase.
Right, exactly. That's when he had all his wives.
So it took them way too long to put two and two together. Like they're taking you four out. It's so funny. They literally just talk about how they're targeting all four of you, and then Soul's like, "Let me go do it." I'm like, she's targeting you. What are you talking about?
No, but I can save her. And I love that he wants that. Soul, he know, and he's right. He knew he could save May because the way she responded to Osha being alive. But at the same time, it's like, bruh, you can save her from the Republic cell versus out there.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to have to go to where the death's going to happen.
Because if I don't, then they'll just kill her. She'll never give herself up. I'm like, that's not true. Because literally the next scene is her talking to Quamir. I'm giving myself up.
Oh, well, then then the scene where he's taking Osha with him.
Yeah.
Like, it's like taking a non-Jedi, like an ex-Jedi on a dangerous mission. Like, I get the whole sister thing, but at this point, probably best not to bring her.
And even she was like, I don't want to do this. And he was like, no, you have to, though.
She's like, what am I going to be doing
like,
here?
Every single Jedi, every Jedi she talks to, she's like, I shouldn't be here. And every Jedi is like, no, you're facing yourself here. Yord. All up
until this episode, they pretty much made him like this dumb punk.
Yeah.
Like this like idiot. And he's like, in this episode, he's like the only smart person.
Yeah, he's like, why are we bringing her? She's a part of this. Like, this is, she's
she's
not
like, what am I supposed to do? Like, every sentence he says in this episode is so smart. Like, he goes on like this, like talking about like what to do and all this stuff. He's like, well, this is what we gotta do. We gotta do this. I'm like, dude, really? Like, this is like a completely 180 what you were playing before.
And I love it because she's like, I shouldn't be here. And he's like, I understand your trepidations, but maybe you're here to find yourself, not just May. Okay, look, guys, I get that. Maybe now's not the time for soul searching.
Well, like, where did this come from?
When did you become a Jedi?
When did you become like an Obi-Wan like master? Like,
dude, he sounded
was, like, super deep.
Yes, he sounded really powerful and like Jedi-like in those few moments.
Something I was expecting from like Soul, like
But
and then they do this like slow walk through the woods.
Well, but even right before that, while this is going on, Osha, when she's leaving for the mission, literally Soul's like, I want you to come with us. And she goes, oh, as a Jedi again? He goes, what? No. Okay, so hold on. Does Osha want to be a Jedi again or not?
I think she secretly wants to.
I think she really does want to be a Jedi still.
I think they're going to try to in the show. They shouldn't because she's too late and she's shown... I mean, she's
been a
Jedi.
I think Osha's going to become an Acolyte. I think Osha becomes the Acolyte.
I think they're going to combine them. I really do.
Oh, yeah, like make them one person. I could see that.
I think whatever ritual, like you said, I think they weren't supposed to be separate. I think they were supposed to be one.
I could see that 100%.
They're so opposite of each other.
Yep.
That it's kind of weird.
Almost like it would happen on purpose. Yeah, like the Force needed that to happen. But then we have so finally we get a scene with May and Quamir going through the forest to find Kelnaka, and May's just like, I'm done with this. After a lot of hiking and faking being tired.
she's like, does a 180 out of nowhere. She's like, you know what?
I'm done with this. He's gonna kill me anyway.
Why am I doing this after all? Osha's alive. Why am I doing this?
Yeah, the whole reason was because of Osha.
Osha was dead. Now she's alive. Like, it like took her that long to realize. I'm like, why didn't you think that back there when you were like attacking everybody and running and stuff? Like, it took her like she had to walk, like travel to the forest and all, travel that planet and everything, and she's walking. She's like, oh, she's alive. What am I doing?
So she traps Khmer, but this is when Khmer does give me the most like he might be the Sith Lord vibes, because when they're talking and he's like, this is stupid, this is a really bad idea for you, and she's like, no, I'm gonna turn myself in, I'm gonna tell them about the Sith.
Like, she even says like, what's the master gonna do? He's not here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, and it sounds like he's about to say about that.
Yeah. Well, because like then she goes like, well, he always wears a mask. Have you ever seen his face? And he like takes a moment and he goes, you know I have it, and just brushes it off. Yeah. But then also the line when he's hanging upside down and she goes, I'm gonna report him. I'm gonna give them him. And he just goes, he'll kill you. And it wasn't like I'm scared for you, May. He'll kill you. It was like, cut me down or I'm personally going to kill you. And then later on, hey, spoilers. Kelnaka gets found dead. That's where everything meets up. We get the things we've all seen in the trailers. May's trapped inside this starship, afraid to come out because of a dead Kelnaka inside. Osha, the Sith, just appears behind her from the trees like the most evil Mary Poppins in the world. Ignites the lightsaber, has an awesome moment.
Well, he force pitch slaps.
Bro, he just picks her by... like nothing, just yeets her out of the way.
The funny thing is, I saw somebody complaining about that. I'm like, why? Why would you be complaining about?
Yeah, he's a dark sider.
Away.
Yeah, he's like, get out of my way.
Saying like he was too strong to like just be able to flick somebody away. Like she's not has any force guard, like any way
he's
to guard.
He's too strong. If he's a Sith,
she's a civilian. If anything, if he couldn't do that, she would be too powerful.
Right, exactly. I love that he like looks at her though, like he's looking into her soul in this moment, like. If it's Khmer, I can tell that he's thinking, you bitch, you're the whole reason my plan has failed because you're still alive.
I think there's got to be something to do with the twins though.
Yeah.
That he has plans for, because otherwise it wouldn't make sense. Just killed her. Leave Osha alive.
Yeah. In that moment, he could have just cut her in half right there. So he needs her alive. If it's Coral, I could see her being like, Osha, I'm so mad at you right now, but I can't even talk to you.
It's definitely not. You could see the arms. It's not,
It's a nice, strapping, muscular, male-esque vibe.
Yeah,
now, I've seen some chicks with pretty beef arms, so I'm not gonna say never, but
it doesn't fit her
her body type.
I don't. Yeah, or just her the silhouette, or also the helmet probably doesn't look comfortable on a Zabrak.
True. But we definitely have an oiled up body with a really nice black poncho. Yeah, and the mask.
It was a quick costume change, and you could tell.
Yeah,
you could tell that.
Oh, that's my thing. If it's Khmer, then he immediately then summoned his lightsaber from his bag or something. He cut himself down, changed, and flew over there, killed Kelnaka, and waited.
I don't think he's working alone. I hope we find that out later.
Yeah.
I hope it'd be cool. It'd be cool to see Coral later. I guess the one thing that would be surprising, and that's what people were saying too, is like he could be the Acolyte himself.
Mm-hmm.
What if Coral is the actual master this whole time?
Right.
That would be really, really.
I would also be just as happy if it's not Khmer and it's literally just the Sith is just like, no, I'm using Khmer to use May to get to Osha to get both of them. Like, you're all a part of my plan. Shut up.
It would make sense too. Why if there is some kind of thing with Coral.
Mm-hmm.
Coral was if you rewatch episode 3, she's very protective of them, like doesn't want them to do anything, and it's constantly the head mother, I don't remember her name,
Anasea or something like that,
and constantly like, oh, just let them, they're fine, just let them, they're okay.
If it had been up to Coral, they would have been doing push-ups and like training every day, all day, and reading. Like
she was furious that they left, and she was willing to punish them more. And it's just like, oh, they're just being girls. Everybody does that. She's like, no, they're important.
Yeah, exactly. So I could definitely, and that's what I like is we have the precedence for this Sith to be multiple people, but it could also just be no one. and have just been pulling the threads from the entire beginning. Because that's one of the things that the Sith in this time period are supposed to be known for, is doing everything from the shadows.
I would like to get the idea of kind of how we had like with the, well, even with Darth Vader, and we've had before. There's always the bigger Sith.
Yeah.
That we thought that he was the master all along, but it really wasn't him. I think that would be pretty cool to add, because if it's just him, if he's just the big bad, it would be kind of disappointing. I mean, it's cool.
Well, no, because he's the big bad, but to me, if he's the big bad, he still is only the apprentice then. Because he's trying to find his acolyte to help him kill his master.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I hope that his master's still alive. I hope he has a master.
Yes, exactly.
I'm just saying, it would feel very hollow if there wasn't one.
Dude, I'd be so happy if season 1 just sets all this cool stuff up, and then season 2 still follows this new Moshe, or Ome, or whatever they want to call him, and her Sith master as they go to kill the Sith master.
Yeah, I hope they do a fusion dance like in Dragon Ball.
Yeah, get the little earrings on, or it's either the earrings or the dance. And if they do the dance wrong, they could look really dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, with some dumb writing, watch some old anime.
Watch the episode with Gotenks and Trunks trying to become.
I mean, there's any episode with Hercule.
Yeah, Hercule pulling a gun out on Super Saiyans like it's gonna do something.
Well, it's so funny when the Cell Saga, people forget that Hercule was during the Cell Saga. And
yeah. But no, to me, I think the Acolyte, yes, that last 1/4 where we see all these, the Sith yeets yeets Osha out of the way, and then just like almost breaks his own neck looking over all of a sudden at all the Jedi. The Jedi bum rush him, and with no problem, he just goes one-handed, bye, and sends all of them flying.
Yeah, normally I don't think you'd be able to do all the Jedi like that, but I think it's the point where they don't know how to react.
Exactly, they don't know what they're fighting.
There hasn't been a Sith in so long, and so they haven't really been like a force-on-force fighter.
And they're not used to this style of the Force. Again, the dark side, if this is a Sith, the Sith is more extreme than a Darksider. A Darksider is like a Jedi who just doesn't mind killing. He doesn't mind having moments of ego where he uses the Force to like swindle or smuggle. A Sith is literally trying to strangle the Force to be its weapon, like to use it like a bat.
And also the difference is the Sith, they're like the Jedi. They have all these teachings. They have a history of techniques, powers, things that have been passed down between Sith and teachings. If he gets access to old Sith teachings, a temple. Or masters that have taught him old techniques. He learns fighting styles, and he's got more of a purpose.
Yeah.
The Sith have a code, they have a structure, they have a purpose, they have something. And
in battle, they flourish because that's their whole element: the chaos, the violence.
Like dark side group typically lack the ambition of the Sith because they don't have that drive.
Yeah, so I could easily see these Jedi have their defense a little down, and this Sith, he's on the highest alert. Because that's the whole point, is Anakin became as strong as he was by turning to the dark side because it's a cheat code.
Yeah. It's like they're like police officers that have to go up kind of because there's like a level they have to appreciate, because like you can't just pull out a gun on anyone. They joke about that, and I won't get into that, but you can't just pull a gun on somebody that's just parked incorrectly. You gotta meet the Force. There's like levels, and that's with most police in the world. And so it's like these guys you think about, they're like British police officers, where they don't typically see somebody with like, I don't know, like the equivalent of like a heavy duty rifle, like a big rifle that only the police can have. So it's like he pulls the lightsaber and uses the Force. So like only we can do that.
Yeah, hold on.
And so they're not expecting, like they're like, hey, they're pulling out their, they don't even have their weapon out, and then they see that and they're like, hey, they're gonna pull out their baton.
Yep.
And he's like pulling out, an assault, like a rifle, just like a, I don't know, whatever, something.
Yeah.
He's pulled that out and he starts just blasting away, and they're
Yep.
just thrown off because they're not used to meeting that style of force. Whereas if you do it
Yeah.
in
Because
United States,
that's the best way to look at it is the Jedi have to follow this like escalation of force.
Yeah.
The Sith start at 10.
Yeah, because they don't have
Yeah.
have to worry about that.
It's the difference in like a police force attached to a state and a state police force. The Gestapo did not care.
Yeah. Or I mean, anyway, yeah.
Yeah. There's plenty of historical things to choose from to find out what happens when a military power gets all power.
Yeah, that's the Sith. If anything, they like the fear.
So. Yes, exactly. It feeds a Sith. The Sith, like when he turned his lightsaber on and May was afraid, that gave that Sith power. When all of the Jedi felt uncertain and like uneasy, that gave him power.
That also takes away their connection to the Force too. It weakens Jedi, the fear. So just him being there, having a lightsaber, red lightsaber, just the instant fear, like I'm gonna die. Like, they've never most of those, and that's the whole reason why I believe he's killing those Jedi. Either they witnessed something they're not supposed to, which could be a thing, but I think it's a multifaceted thing. I think they have a connection to something they saw they weren't supposed to see, and so that's why they have to die, just like the witches died because it got to a point where he had to kill all of them. Maybe he had to show up and save Osha and May. And only could save May, got seen, so he's like, well, I gotta kill them all. Yeah. And the Jedi saw something, and I gotta kill them because they saw too much.
Yeah, and look, I have this perfect apprentice now. I'm just gonna tell her that her sister's dead, even though I know she's with the Jedi.
Yeah, and also mess with the Jedi by killing them off. It's like when Jedi just start dying, it's a big deal.
Especially in this time, because there's no war.
And so it looks bad on the public because the public look the Jedi like weak.
Yep.
They look like they're not as strong and vulnerable as we thought they were.
Yeah, and that's why Vernestra won't let anyone talk about this outside of the group.
And not only that, but it also shows the Jedi they're not as powerful as they think they are. Yeah. So they start having fear and doubt, which is not good for the Jedi.
But actually, that leads into a lot of better things. Yeah. If Vernestra is already suppressing knowledge of this getting out, that could be exactly why the Jedi have no idea about a Sith Lord eradicating other Jedi. Vernestra could pretty much pull a Yoda and just go, yeah, I'm not talking about this with anyone because it's not going to do any good.
The mental aspect of, like, because they're going through life. The public know who they are. They're going to show up on planet and they're like, well, I can't stop a Jedi.
Right.
I can't say no to the Jedi. So, yeah. I know you're here in peaceful ambassador means, but the truth is you're a Jedi. I can't say no.
Or else the whole Republic will show up.
Well, then the idea they're kind of mythological, where they think they're invincible, and not only the public thinks them that, but the Jedi think that
exactly
because they respond to everything. They think that no one can do anything to them, and when they do have conflict, they just take care of it. They don't ever meet anything stronger than them.
Yeah, that's what one of the witches even says. Like, because Coral's like, we'll just kill the Jedi, and she's like, we can't do that. Then the entire Republic will come down on us.
But also, like I said, also there's that it's a lot easier to maintain the idea of peace and the calmness of a Jedi if you think that nothing bad can happen.
Yeah.
But now that the worst possible thing could happen, little Jedi masters, members of the council, are dying.
As
a Padawan, what am I gonna think?
Right.
Like, if the top Jedi can die, then like it's out the window. Like how am I supposed to? I mean, you think about
and honestly, as silly
as when we started having, I don't want to get into political, but we get to some shootings. People in school, like people were scared to go to school. People were scared to do daily things. Even that the likelihood of that happening to them is very, very tiny.
Yeah.
But it puts in that fear.
Yeah.
And it makes it difficult to continue on, and you're no longer have that focus, that drive, that peace, that
ignorance is bliss. And that's that ignorance is bliss kind of thing. Not that being stupid is good for you, but just if you don't know, like if you've never heard of an elevator dropping and killing the people inside of it, you're not afraid when you're in an elevator.
Yeah. but yeah, and it totally inhibits you anytime to do with that.
But now, because like I've said that, hey, guess what, guys? The next 24 hours, if you randomly are in an elevator and it does a little jerk, you're gonna think about this exact moment on this podcast and go, "I'm terrified now."
Or you can look at the engineering of elevators and realize that the fact that the elevator could drop is impossible.
Yeah.
Like I would say it's like 98% could never happen. Like,
it's like a water tank, like when Mythbusters made a water tank explode, they have to remove all the safety functions.
Yeah, it's literally engineered that if it fails, it will literally just lock up.
Right.
And that's the reason why they get stuck. It can't happen. But anyways, but topple that mentality, like that just destruction of like peace and everything, when your whole like you get power from that peace, tranquility, and connection to the Force, like that's your connection to the Force. And we saw that and phase 2, when with the new addition of these creatures and stuff like that, and people dying, Jedi
and
dying.
The main weapon, the main weapon, the leveler, the nameless use, is putting doubt and fear and just trepidation into Jedi. And the second they feel that, they can't focus, they can't do anything.
We see a lot of Jedi just literally freeze up, even without the level. We saw that, in phase 1 with the fair.
Yeah, I mean Jedi Masters, very powerful Jedi Masters.
In the worst case scenario, Masters turn into best case scenarios. They turn into the dark side, which is what you want. So it's like, and it's this cascade effect.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're going to write it as his true intention. I think they might write it as he's trying to cover up something.
Yeah.
But without them realizing it, I'm hoping they realize it. There's this whole cascade effect. The reason why they want to keep it quiet. The reason why she doesn't want to get involved with the Republic. I mean, if they did, it would probably solve their solution a lot quicker.
Yep, but like Vernestra's terrified of, their enemies will see them as weak and strike at the opportunity. But is that also... Is she right? Yes, no. Would it have done better for her to probably tell Yoda? Yeah. Would it have hurt them? Yeah.
It's like, it's the whole idea of the mission. Like, is that the right thing to do? Like, imagine any tragedy that we had lately. Yeah. Imagine that tragedy, but the government covers it up. Like, would you? What most people say yes, but then you look at the aftermath. Is it
I mean, let's pull from history. Yeah. Look at the JFK stuff. Now that even the few documents that came out about that have come out, the public is all, the government did it. Just because they covered up some details, everyone's like, nope, government inside job. I don't know if it was, but you know what? A lot of people think it was because the government covered up small little things.
Lately, because nobody has trust in the government. It's like with everything. It's just with the moon landing and everything.
But that's what that would become. If the Jedi have this one fault, it can snowball into, well, how many other faults do they have? And then people are looking for their faults and finding them, because you will if you look.
Yeah. So that's like the big thing is, like, if you look at it yourself, like, what would I want to have the ignorance in this? Would I want to know? On surface, like, immediately, like, I want to know.
Yeah, but at the same time,
you think about the repercussions of knowing.
Yeah, you sleep better at night if you don't know. I've spoken. It's like, would it help you understand why we have soldiers to spend a night in war? Yeah, but you know what? I don't think a lot of people couldn't handle that and don't need to. So
yeah, well, it's also a lot of things is like, my experiences have been both a cop and in the military. Yeah. And I've had people ask me stuff all the time with things I've witnessed, with things I've done. And also my wife too. They'll ask, like, so how was your day? And like, that was good. And it's like, well, what happened? Like, I would like be vague about it, because when I first got married, I didn't, and she would always be worried. Yeah. And we got to a point, especially when I was a cop, I told her, I got to a point where I was like, listen, you don't want to know. Not only do I not want to relive what just happened by retelling everything that happened, but also you don't want to know.
Right. The world is a much more beautiful place when you don't know how many horrific things happen on the daily.
unlike what you see on movies and TV, things aren't as pretty to watch or see.
You're right.
Yeah, things are never happy. Surprising, police don't get called to a good scenario most
Right.
of the time.
Yeah. There's very few. Hey, we need someone to finish this rack of ribs at the cookout.
I wish. But yeah, it's yeah. I mean, there's fun moments. More fun moments was a military, surprisingly, than I was a cop. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's if you think about it, yeah, the ignorance of not knowing, you know.
And these Jedi know a lot.
Yeah.
That's the horrible. Like when you're a Jedi, you don't only just know the inner workings of like galactic peace and things like that. You're now on a whole nother spiritual level than every other person around you. So it's one, they feel more hoity-toity because they're literally like spiritually more better than the people around them.
Well, it's also that feedback effect that people treat them like that because they see them that way.
Yeah.
And so if I'm being treated that way, I'm going to start thinking that way. And it's that kind of that. And then you get the hundreds of years of being that way. It's just going to be second nature. I mean, they're going to train to be like, hey, we're going on this mission, but like, here's your lightsaber. You're never going to use the thing. Don't worry about it.
People will see it and just throw their weapons on the ground and give up. And you know what? 60% of the time they do.
It's like, and that's the way they kind of start thinking, because there's no longer these galaxy-ending threats at this time. The worst they see, like I said, is
you just got the normal. You got huts, you got a few cartels, you got spice, you got some slavery because there's nothing. They can't stop all the crime.
I need a High Republic comic now where it's like a guy just pretends to be a Jedi just to either scam places or like.
Oh, what was that? What was that guy from Obi-Wan? I just need a comic following that dude from Obi-Wan for like the first few years he was doing that scam.
He just gets like robes and gets like a metal tube on his belt and just walks around and he's like, "Oh, a free drink, thank you."
That would be High Republic era pretends to be a Jedi.
Somebody's getting held up at a store and they're like holding up with a blast and he walks in and is like, "All right, I give up." And it's like, "Don't do that again. Get out of here." And it's like, "Thank you." Oh, it's like you start picking things up because this is free, right?
Can I have this? Oh yeah, totally. Thanks for saving me. Yeah, no problem.
I want to see that, and then it'd just be so funny.
Yeah, I that would be hilarious. That'd be a really, really fun and just lighthearted.
Cool. Yeah, and just start. Well, until you realize he's scamming a lot of people, this stuff not really lighthearted anymore.
Right, exactly.
Or the typical one that usually happens in like stories that people write. Something really bad does happen,
and he can't save anyone. Yeah. And I mean that would be actually really fun. That'd be really fun. And if stolen valor happens in every universe, I guarantee it. There's no way people haven't run around pretending to be.
It's happened all throughout history. I mean, most people are dressed up like knights, people dressed like samurai.
Yep.
Dressed up like sheriff, law enforcement, and other cults.
Right. But at least on our planet back then, if you were just a few towns far enough away, you were the person you said you were, because nobody had any way of checking.
And a lot of these planets, they can't. Like,
they're very backwater. So
and we gotta realize the Republic is still not super connected yet.
And even let's take it to episode 4, the height of the Empire. Like they're expanding, they're taking. Even then, there are a lot of planets that were never under Republic control, or they just considered themselves outside of it. I mean, the Moon, Darth Plagueis' original race, the Banking Clan. Nobody owned the Banking Clan until the Empire because they had all the money. The Hutts, that's a whole area of space that nobody has ever conquered. That's theirs. We leave it alone.
Yeah, and what's heard, if you do get anything, it's usually pretty much propaganda. Even in the Republic, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
If they get any kind of galactic news, it's probably, and if they probably don't watch it because
even in the core worlds, the galactic news channel is not telling you about labor strikes and unpaid workers and droid rights.
Like noise that they just ignore. The only people probably paying attention are the politicians.
Right, and they're not paying attention to everything. They're paying attention to their little space. So it's perfect to be filled with just a certain point of view really making the difference. That's what I'm excited for. But man, next episode's gonna be crazy. I don't think anyone besides Soul and the twins are gonna live. I don't see Jackie living. I don't see Yord living.
So the last 2 episodes I didn't like as much as the first 2.
Yeah.
Are they the worst Star Wars we've gotten? No.
God, no.
Are the writing could be more? Is it the best? No. I don't think it's as bad as people say it are. There's some things that I wish were done differently. There's some really cheesy stuff. I'm sorry, the chant is so cheesy. I get the empowering thing, but God, you could have done it so much better.
When they started chanting, like I immediately thought of Gwyneth Paltrow's candle. I was like, is that what? Are they about to light some candles? Some Yankee Doodles?
It was so cheesy. I will admit, I mean, I'm part of the side that's defending the show for the rest of the internet, and even I will admit that that's pretty bad. But is it enough for me to spend the rest of my hours hating the show? No.
No, not at all, right?
It's Star Wars. It's nothing to take seriously. They're not. It's not like they're converting everything to the Acolyte. Everybody's acting like all of Star Wars is Acolyte now. Like they're converting the Disney parks to Acolyte. All the figures, everything is Acolyte.
Right.
And that's not true. If anything,
exactly.
We're getting more of the same. If you look at the video game coming out,
if you really look at what's going on, it's all still set in the Skywalker saga or a Mandalorian. That's it.
And the only thing new that they're really pushing is the new Rey movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's going to be the new hate piece when that comes out.
Yeah. But no, I like the Acolyte. I think episode 3 to me in its entirety was better than 4, but that last 10 minutes of episode 4 was brilliant. The pacing of that last little bit, the saber ignition, throwing her out, throwing like that one. Oh, the last 10 minutes was paced. Chef's kiss. It was really good.
Episode 4, just I think what kills the episode is just everything leading up to it is just so slow.
It's like what I described it as. Episode 4 was the first 3/4 felt like it took all day, and then that last awesome little bit felt like 3 milliseconds, and then I was like, hold on, it's over. What happened?
And nothing happened in that first 3/4. Really, nothing happened. I mean, there's a couple of important conversations that could have been just over then. And then up to the part where May starts realizing she doesn't want to be a Sith anymore. That's when it kind of starts to matter at that point.
Yeah, because the second we find out that like when she's in Kelnaka's room, things are ramping up. Like the intensity is really building. It's really good. Him being dead, that was a cool touch that I didn't see coming. Yeah. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with this Sith. Yeah. And again, man, the next episode, there's going to be some fighting.
I get the vibe from that scene. It reminds me when I'm a DM, just like when you're talking to the bad guy and you're like betraying, or like somebody powerful, it's not a bad guy yet, it's on your side, and it's like, are you sure about that? I mean,
are you really sure?
He might kill you if you continue the process you're going. Sure, this is the route you want to go.
You could cut me down and we could act like none of this happened. Are you sure? Because you're it's like, you know, when you're in a video game and you hit that one part of the game where it goes, if you continue, you cannot turn back.
I've literally had that conversation with a party where there's like there's a demon that was helping them out, and he wasn't like, even though he's a demon or a devil, so he's a devil.
Okay, yeah.
No, I think he's a demon because he was like a fox species. He's a demon. But the first part they found out who's a demon, they're like, "Oh, we got to get rid of this guy." I'm like, "You sure this is the wise action to do? You've already seen him teleport at instant speeds. You want to continue this route?"
Yeah, exactly. And fuck around and find out, right? And now we're in the find out section of the Acolyte, and I'm so excited. All right, that Keldor, I know we got their name and I feel so bad for forgetting it, but we did get to see a new Keldor Jedi, which that was really cool to get to see. I love all the alien species, for sure. Yeah.
That's one thing I will say that this show has done the best at, is the alien species.
Yeah.
I think is for sure the best aspect of the show so far. Yeah, I mean, It's just the costumes are so good.
Let's see. Nope, it's not Plo Koon. That named.
I haven't rewatched much of 4, so I don't know.
It's one of those. Oh, Ithia Pan. Yeah, Ithia Pan. Which, by the way, subtitles are key when you're watching this stuff, because now I know what those are called. Umber moths, the weird things on the trees that May awoke.
Oh yeah,
it's called an umber moth, and I only know that because of subtitles.
That was also disappointing. Though I'm glad we didn't, because we would have detracted from the main story. Yeah. So I was thought we're gonna have this big old. They're all gonna wake up and fight them.
Well, I think the thing,
walking through the forest would have been a lot more exciting.
I was terrified of it becoming nighttime because of the creatures. Then I realized, oh no, Kamir is terrified of it becoming nighttime because the Sith, I think. I think Kamir knew, if we're not done by night, he's gonna kill all of us and Kelnaka. But I'm so excited. Yeah, this next episode is going to be really good. It's going to be again, guys, this is going to be a slobber knocker. I'm not expecting almost anyone to make it out of here alive. They're all gonna
die.
We're gonna get that scene with Soul all disheveled and beaten up, going, "What are you?" It's gonna be crazy, because this is a dark side show. People seem to forget that this is not about the Jedi. They don't have to survive whatsoever.
I think Soul might survive. I think Soul's gonna try to escape. I think it'd be Soul, because the rest of her unnamed characters. So it'd be Soul. What's his name? Yord and May and Osha are gonna escape together. They're gonna you fend them off. We're gonna grab the girls and run.
Yeah.
And they're gonna fight, and then they're like, "Oh, we gotta save the girls," and then
I don't know what's gonna happen.
He's like, "Yord, come to me," and Yord's like, "Aye, Captain," and runs. But I should fight. Wait, no, I gotta listen to rules.
Well, yeah, 100%. The unnamed Jedi are all dead.
Yeah,
but
I'm pretty sure that's the whole reason why a squad of unnamed Jedi went with them. Other than it's smart not to go alone.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're gonna get all wiped out.
What about Jackie? You think she dies?
Which one's Jackie again?
Soul's Padawan?
Yeah, I think she dies. I think the only Padawan that matters is the white one.
That's Jackie.
Oh, Jackie? I didn't think she was there. I thought she stayed.
She's on the planet with him.
I couldn't remember. I thought she didn't go.
Nope. Yep, she's there. It's Jackie, Yord, Soul, Osha, May.
The ones that have actually spoken in a conversation are going to survive.
I don't know. If they kill all of them, that will really set a precedence for what the show's about to become. No, this is about Sith.
I don't see them have the.
Come on.
I don't see them have the urge to do that. It would be
kill
cool.
Them all. Kill them all.
But Osha and May, and then
Yeah, so he takes Osha and May, all right, come on, you two are becoming one now.
Yeah, try going back to the Jedi now after all these Jedi died.
I'm excited.
They're gonna believe you the Sith showed up? Okay, go.
Right, yeah. Oh, a red lightsaber? Sure.
You killed all the Jedi, including the Wookiee. Also, I want to point something out, okay? You gotta kill. I know we're about to end. You have to kill one of the Jedi barehanded, and you save that for the Wookiee Jedi?
You save it for the Wookiee.
What?
He didn't break that gun with the Force. He just snapped a gun in half with Wookiee strength.
Save it for the little bald guy. I get he has the shield, but you could figure that out. I would rather fight him, somehow figure that out, than fight a Wookiee barehanded. Even if he didn't have the Force or a lightsaber.
Yeah.
You're not winning that fight.
Right. Oh, and I'll also say, he was cute, but I hated the tracker. That was the weirdest.
Oh, yeah.
And then he immediately just fucks off and finds May, but it's
Star Wars did a spoiler for that character.
Yeah.
The 2 days before, I almost sent it to you. They sent a teaser talking about this new character, and they're interviewing and stuff. And he's like, oh, he's apparently an otter. I think it's an otter and a beaver combined or something, something like that. I was reading. They were talking about it.
Why he's good at sniffing and tracking things? Because he's not part mole.
I said that out loud. I was I took him out when we were watching. It's we gotta track him down. I'm I was waiting for him to pull like a pad, like a pad with a tracker, like a normal sci-fi, and all of a sudden the little rat creature starts sniffing the ground. I'm oh my god.
But then he never sniffs the ground. Then he just walks
Well,
around
he
like
just sniffs the air. And he starts screeching.
Yord's acting all high and mighty. He's like, most Padawans learn Shriwook. I learned something more useful. Well, shut up, Yord. I love him to death. I love Yord because I love to hate him. Like, he's everything I would never want a Jedi, but he's awesome. I love it. I thought episode.
I have a feeling if survives,
he's
season,
not. Yeah.
If he survives this season, I feel like he's gonna end up being one of your favorite Jedi. You're gonna say no, but I have a feeling.
That would be amazing. I would love to be proven wrong when I go, there's no way I'm not a Yord horde.
A Wookie Jedi fight, unless they do another flashback. We won't get to see it.
We should, though. We've seen it in the trailers. I saw Kelnaka attacking Torbid in one of the TV spots. So hopefully...
it's going to be like a quick scene.
Yeah. Because that's what my wife was like, oh my gosh. It's like... Because she said the same thing, like, why would you want to go fist fight a Wookiee Jedi? That's the most terrifying thing ever. I'm like, no. The only thing more terrifying than a Wookiee Jedi is a Wookiee Sith. A Wookiee Sith would be the most terrifying thing ever, because he would literally just grab people and break them.
I don't know if Wookiee Sith could actually happen, because I don't think he'd be able to control himself. They would just go crazy.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They'd be like a Mad Claw. It'd be like Chrysanthemum. If Chrysanthemum had the Force, he would not be a Jedi. But yeah, most Wookiees don't act like that. Wookiees are very of life and love and nature.
I'm sure there's several really powerful combinations.
Mm-hmm.
But a Wookiee Jedi would be definitely one of them.
Yeah. Where's
there'd be another good one, like a Trandoshan?
Yes, exactly what I was gonna say. Trandoshans were like born to be Sith.
Well, that, or like I was saying, like a Trandoshan Mandalorian would also be pretty devastating.
Right, exactly. All right, guys. Well, before we're about to dive into a whole nother podcast on that one.
I'm sorry,
No, that's fine. But it's fun to always talk about that kind of stuff. Have an amazing rest of your day, everyone. Please, down in the comments while you're hitting like and subscribe, smash those like and subscribe buttons. Make sure to also comment what you thought of episode 3 and 4, what you loved, what you thought was a little funky and wacky. Let us know your opinions. We'd love to talk about them. If you think they are woke trash, blow it up. Tell us that we're shills all day, every day. Go right ahead. The more engagement, the better. I would love to argue with you until you're blue in the face.
So don't fist fight a Jedi, man. Fist fight a Wookiee.
Yeah, never fist fight a Wookiee. You will lose. And on that note, have an amazing rest of your night. And as always, may the Force serve you well.
May the Force be with you.
I don't want to fist fight no Wookiee. I want that Wookiee Nookie.